The moment the Los Angeles Dodgers released their roster for the 2025 World Series, one omission stood out like a spotlight shining on an empty seat: left-handed reliever Alex Vesia. At age 29, after a season in which he had become one of the most trusted weapons in the bullpen, his sudden absence sent shockwaves through the club, the media, and a fan base expecting nothing less than full strength. The official statement read, "It's with a heavy heart that we share that Alex Vesia is away from the team as he and his wife Kayla navigate a deeply personal family matter." From that line alone, the tone was set. This was not a strategic decision. This was human. This was a family in crisis. The fact that the Dodgers did not place Vesia on the family medical emergency list, which would have required a minimum 3-day absence and maximum 7 days, only deepened the sense of gravity. The club wanted to relieve any pressure, to give space, to step away from the calculus of baseball. They said as much. President of Baseball Operations Andrew Friedman told reporters the decision was rooted in, "We just didn't want to have any potential for any kind of pressure." He added, "This is so much bigger than baseball." When manager Dave Roberts spoke publicly on the matter just before Game 7, the emotion brimmed into the open. "It's everything," he said. "For these guys to recognize Alex and what he and Kayla have gone through, heartbreaking is not even a good enough descriptor." He was referring to the gesture made by opposing bullpens and his own. Number 51, Vesia's jersey number, scrawled on the side of caps, a silent but potent symbol of solidarity. Look at that moment for a second. In the crucible of a World Series, when every pitch, every matchup, every ounce of mental energy counts, the Toronto Blue Jays relievers, in a show of fraternity rarely seen on this stage, adopted his number 2. Chris Bassett, Seranthony Dominguez, Mason Fluharty, and Louis Varland all wore number 51 on the side of their caps in Game 6. The Dodgers' Kike Hernandez said of the scene, "Instead of being mad that I struck out, I was kind of going back to the dugout thinking, did Bassett play with Vesia at some point?" For those guys to do that, it's incredible. Life is bigger than baseball, and baseball's just a game. This is the backdrop. Vesia, in the 2025 regular season, logged 68 appearances and carried a 3.02 ERA. Not just a number, but promise. During the postseason, he made 7 appearances, posting a 3.86 ERA and collecting wins in key moments. He was a steady late-inning presence when the bullpen at large creaked and groaned under the weight of a full season. And now, as the Fall Classic arrived, his seat remained empty. The crunch time of the club, the tensest moment of the year, and he was not there. The team had to press on without him. Let's rewind a little further for context. Alex Vesia, originally drafted by the Miami Marlins and traded to the Dodgers ahead of the 2021 season, steadily carved out a role as a left-handed reliever capable of punching out hitters, delivering strikeouts, and shutting down innings when the game got tight. But pitchers, especially relievers, are volatile commodities. Injuries, hot streaks, slumps, countless variables. What makes Vesia's case different is that his absence had nothing to do with pitch count, injury, trade, or performance. It was a human interruption, a reminder that even in the highest echelons of sport, life's uncertainties intrude. According to the timeline, the Dodgers announced on October 24, 2025, that Vesia was away from the team as he and his wife Kayla faced a personal family matter. The next day, the roster was finalized. Vesia was not included. Manager Roberts said the club was going day to day with really no expectations on the question of his return. Whether he could return was not just a matter of baseball eligibility. The family medical emergency list would have allowed him back after at least 3 days, but of whether the family needed him, whether his focus should be outside the game. Here's an emotional layer. In April of 2025, Alex and his wife Kayla announced they were expecting their first child, a baby girl. It's reasonable to presume the personal family matter might be connected to that joyous news, or a complication thereof, though the family has not disclosed specifics and the club has respected that privacy. But that expectancy announcement and now this departure cast the story not as a typical sports injury or roster shuffle, but as a human story of hope, responsibility, and sacrifice. When the Blue Jays relievers donned number 51, that wasn't just symbolism. It was permission. It was saying to Vesia, "You're still with us. You matter." The Dodgers themselves wrote number 51 on their hats in various bullpen meetings. You could see it on the backs of jackets in the clubhouse, in the dugout chatter. Alex might not throw in this series, but his presence was felt. Roberts told reporters he didn't realize how deep that gesture was by the Blue Jays until after the game, and it moved him. He said it speaks to the brotherhood of athletes for them to acknowledge that. It just speaks to how much respect and love they have for one another. On the field, the Dodgers had to adjust. Losing a left-handed reliever of Vesia's caliber in the Fall Classic isn't just a morale blow, it changes matchups, affects late-inning strategy, forces the manager to dig into deeper options. Roberts acknowledged that the club had a lot of viable options, but that Alex is certainly going to be missed. The bullpen, which in 2025 had seen struggles, now had one fewer reliable arm. That's significant. Fans watched the scene, some with confusion, some with empathy, all aware that this was different. Tweets and social posts flooded with "pray for number 51" or "thoughts with Alex and Kayla." Journalists tried to piece together what exactly the family matter was. No details were forthcoming. The Dodgers requested privacy, but the narrative was unmistakable. This was a moment not just for baseball, but for humanity. Let's talk about what this means in a wider sense. In a league where athletes are often treated as commodities, where rosters are manipulated down to the last inning, this moment brought a pause. It forced organizations, media, and fans to remember no matter how elite the athlete, how immense the pressure, how bright the lights, life outside the field persists. The Dodgers statement made it clear: whole heart support, heavy heart language, acknowledgement that this is bigger than baseball. In doing so, they set a precedent. The vibe in the clubhouse must have shifted. You could imagine late nights in the bullpen, veteran voices reminding the young guys, this is why we play. To win, yes, but also for each other. Alex Vesia's absence became a rallying cry, a reminder of why they do this. Roberts' earlier remark that baseball is what we do, but it's not who we are, acquires deeper meaning now. It's not fluff, it's truth. As the World Series progressed, Vesia's name popped up constantly, not in the box scores, but in conversation. His teammates wore number 51, opponents wore number 51. The stands had tributes, social media lit up. The storyline of missing arm became intertwined with missing presence. And with every managerial briefing, every bullpen session, one question hung in the air. Could Alex come back? But for now, the focus was forward. The Dodgers had to win, regardless. Consider how the narrative arcs. A steady reliever comes in year after year, builds trust. In 2025, he posts strong numbers, makes key postseason appearances. Then, just before the biggest series of his career, he steps away for reasons outside his control. The team honors him, the opponent honors him, and the game goes on. This isn't a trade saga, a contract dispute, an injury. This is life. It's unpredictable, and sometimes sports reminds us that athletes are people. What about the future? Will Vesia return in 2026 fully refreshed? Will the Dodgers restructure their bullpen around his absence? What kind of support will he receive from the wider MLB community? These are unanswered questions, but they add richness to the story, because a guy who could have just been another arm in the bullpen has become a symbol of resilience, empathy, and the human side of sports. So as the series reaches its climax, manager Dave Roberts' words hang heavy. Heartbreaking is not even a good enough descriptor. That's strong language. The word heartbreaking is typically reserved for tragedies, for losses, for irreversible moments. But here, in the microcosm of a baseball team chasing a championship, it found its place. And it found a spotlight. Because losing Vesia wasn't just losing a reliever, it was losing a person's presence when the stakes were highest. In the end, whether the Dodgers win the title or fall short, this story lingers. It changes the fabric of their season. It changes how we view the bullpen card. It changes how we talk about value and absence. Alex Vesia's missing presence became a presence in itself. It reminds us that sometimes the most powerful part of sports happens off the scoreboard. If you're watching along with us, whether you're a diehard Dodgers fan or just tuning in for the drama, keep your eyes not only on the home runs and strikeouts, but on the human threads that weave the game together. Because this moment, this story, is one of those threads. Make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more celebrity updates just like this.